Here's what I'm going to say about this. These Bethune-Cookman players standing up, fighting back at the university for firing their head coach Ed Reed, it should tell you everything you need to know. Well, here's an interesting situation that is currently going on. Ed Reed's players at Bethune-Cookman, I'll explain this in just a second, they are now fighting for him to come back. For those of you that have no idea what's going on, go watch some of the previous videos and you're going to have to watch them because I really can't sum it up briefly. To make a really, and I mean a really long story short, Ed Reed, he got hired or quote unquote hired by Bethune-Cookman. He was there for 25 days. Apparently, there was trash in his office, trash around the university. He didn't like it. He goes on Instagram Live. He says some choice words to say the least, and yeah, they fire him. But here's the catch with all of this. Bethune-Cookman is, and they really was labeling this as a quote-unquote mutual departure. However, Ed Reed, and we made a video on this yesterday, he exposed the truth and he said, no, this isn't mutual. They're kicking me out. They're making me leave. So yeah, it's an interesting situation, and I didn't expect to talk about this again, but here we are. We have some new information. We're going to talk all about it in this video. It is the only topic we're going to talk about and focus on. You already know the drill. If you like college football content, consider joining the best, not one of, the best college football community on YouTube. All right, Matt, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. I say we start out with this. So let me read you off some of these comments that you guys were leaving on the last video, and it's some great points. Angel said, fired because he exposed them. This is why we cannot get anywhere as people. We complain about our own not investing in the community, yet when they do, they are disrespected. The fact that BCU had this man cleaning the campus because nobody else would do it shows sheer incompetence and dysfunction. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thank you for that comment, by the way, and there is many great comments you guys left on that last video. Unfortunately, I can't read them all, but I also really like this one. Vanessa said, he won that campus and rooms clean for the recruits that came today. That says a lot about the higher ups, and they didn't even try to help the man prepare for that. BCC, and I think she meant to say BCU, just missed their blessing. Trust me when I say this, I would love to read off all these comments to you guys, but I think you get the point. In the comment section of that video, like I said, you can go check it out if you want to. I think we're all in the same boat. Most of us, 99% of us, we're on Ed Reed's side. Most of us also understand if you want to bring in somebody that's going to change things, he's got to act the way that Ed Reed has acted. You can't just hire a head coach that sits back and lets all this BS go on and on and on. You're going to have to hire a guy who's out there maybe a little bit edgy, just like Ed Reed. Sure, maybe he's going to cuss, but what college football head coach doesn't cuss? Seriously, what are we talking about? There was leaked audio footage of Kirby Smart dropping the F-bomb 25 times before they played TCU. And here's my biggest problem about this. Ed Reed had a reason to cuss. He had a reason to be upset. Bethune-Cookman is not only corrupt, but there is trash in the man's office and trash around the university. So you got to take a look at this, just like Vanessa said in her comment. They had recruits. I believe it was around 26 recruits coming to visit, and there was trash everywhere. And the higher-ups were just okay with this? I mean, what are we doing at Bethune-Cookman? I'm not too familiar with the university itself. I don't have people around that area. But what are we doing there? Unreal, man. Straight up unreal. But anyways, moving along here. Shortly after Ed Reed made his announcement speech and the video where I showed you when we talked about it, where he just straight up said, yeah, they don't want me here and here's the truth. The players at Bethune-Cookman took it upon themselves to start a petition. And you probably know where I'm about to go with this. This said petition is to reinstate Coach Ed Reed. And within just a couple of hours, they had so many people sign it, they didn't even have any more spots. They had to get a new sheet, as you can see right here. It's amazing, it really is. I applaud the players for having their coaches back. We always talk about how the coach needs to have the players back. Well, sometimes I kind of feel like it should be vice versa. The players should have the coaches back. Remember when Deion Sanders got to Jackson State and everyone's saying, man, one day maybe could the HBCUs get to levels of an Alabama, Georgia, or the major D1 programs, and everyone's like, oh no, that couldn't happen? Well, here's why. I'm not saying it won't happen, but here's what I am going to say. Until something changes, it won't happen. The corruption that is going on, not was, it is currently going on as when I'm speaking at Bethune-Cookman, Jackson State, and more HBCUs, it's got to be fixed. Oh, you don't want to take my word for it? Well, here's what a student at Bethune-Cookman had to say. Good afternoon. I'm a student here at Bethune-Cookman University located at blah, 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 United States. The students at the university will be holding a school-wide protest due to the lack of administration, lead, and corruption. What do you know? I've been saying that. corruption taking place at our university. Students are dealing with mold in bathrooms, raw food being served in the cafeteria, removal of scholarship funds, and much more. We are tired, we are mistreated, misinformed, and manipulated. We have cried out for help in the past and nothing has been done. Our current administration staff does not care about us. They are money hungry, controlling, and selfish people. A change has to come. We are also standing behind our ex-head football coach Ed Reed, who was forced out of his position and lied on by the university for initiating change. This is not a retaliation or just some college kids looking to cause trouble. This is a cry for help. Interesting. What do y'all think about that? Like I said, if you don't want to take my word for anything I say, that's cool, but this is coming from a student. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is just what we know. There's probably more stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't want to dive into all that mess because that's a different topic for a different day. Bethune-Cookman's running back, Jaden Bivens, also came out and said this. Coach Ed Reed loved my film and gave me a chance. We had big things coming. But before all that, we talked about being a man every day of his 3 weeks here at 7:30. He could care less about football and wanted to mold us into accountable and responsible men. In those couple of weeks, he's done more for us in this school than people who's been here for years. The criticism he gave may not have been the right way to speak about it, but nothing he said was wrong and the whole school is standing with him. He wanted better for this school and each individual. Forget the football, forget the money, he didn't care. It was about us. Prideful people and the higher-ups didn't like what was said, and even though Coach put his pride aside to apologize for the way he said things, they couldn't put their pride aside and accept it. This is bigger than all that, and we need Coach Reed, Hell Wildcats. And recently, even though Coach Ed Reed got fired, check this out, he was still on FaceTime making sure the players were cleaning up around campus. I'm going to say that once again, Ed Reed was still making sure the players were doing their community service, even though the university fired him. If that doesn't go to show you and prove to you that Ed Reed was about the kids, I don't know what will. Sure, is Ed Reed maybe a little bit unethical? Is he a little outlandish sometimes in his statements? Does he say crazy stuff? Yes. Would I like him to calm down a little bit and be a little bit more professional like Coach Prime? Yes. With that being said, even with all those negatives, I still think with Ed Reed being the head coach, you're going to get more positives. And the main reason for that is because he's not in it for the money. He has these kids' best interests in his heart. He's a man of change and he wants better. And when you want to change stuff, you gotta act a certain way. You can't just sit back and let the people and the higher ups walk all over you. You gotta stand up for yourself, and that's what he's done. I respect him a ton for that, and I will continue to respect him for that. Here's what I'm gonna say about this. These Bethune-Cookman players standing up, fighting back at the university for firing their head coach and Ed Reed, it should tell you everything you need to know. Will all this fighting back actually amount to something? Will it get Ed Reed his job back? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And to be honest, I don't even know why Ed Reed would want to go back there. As bad as the university treated him, I don't know why he would. The only reason, and this is the only reason, is because of the kids. I think he loves the kids so much, he would put himself back in that terrible situation. And make no mistakes about it, it is a terrible situation. But at the end of the day, Ed Reed, he doesn't care about the situation. He knew it was a bad one going into it. He wants to improve it. He wants to change it. And if you want Ed Reed to change it, you gotta give him some runway. I don't really have too much more to say. My opinion on this situation hasn't changed since day one. I don't like it and I don't really agree with it. The only bad thing I've said about Ed Reed, and I will say it was a bad look, was he was unprofessional when he was cussing on that Instagram live. But if you're the higher ups, all you gotta do is say, hey man, if you do this again, you're not gonna be the head coach, but we'll just give you a warning. But they didn't do that. They just said, all right, you're gone. It is what it is. Let me know your thoughts down below. But